Finally, we're going back. Burnley, first home game of the season, first game back for the fans in like fucking forever. Not that we've been desperate to go back or anything. I'm sure we'll all control ourselves when we actually get there. Although I do have to say, I hope I get in because I have a bit of a confession to make. For those who've been watching my videos, you might remember that bit of advice I gave anyone with a season ticket on my Liverpool latest news video. You know, the one where I talked about Saul Niguez and Van Dijk and Gomez returning to training in the new away kit. Remember on it when I advised everybody who has a season ticket to make sure you all download your NFC passes or send off for the stadium pass card before this 26th of July deadline, so, you know, we don't miss any games. And on a quick side note before we wrap things up, if you're a season ticket holder, don't forget to check your emails as the new season ticket is now a downloadable app for your phone. It needs to be completed by the 26th of July, so don't forget, check your emails, get it sorted, because otherwise you might miss the first couple of games. Remember that. Well, guess what Knobhead here didn't do on time?
Oh, you are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I had fucking hell on trying to figure that thing out, you know, how to download the bloody thing. It fucking pissed me right off. Anyway, I got it sorted in the end, but I hope I'm allowed in the stadium so I can give you guys some decent first-hand content and maybe some footage of the fans, and, you know, I can have a bit of background for future videos so you don't have to keep fucking staring at this blank screen all the fucking time. I mean, obviously not of the game itself, as I'm not allowed, but, you know, hopefully a celebration or three. Now, going into this game, obviously the win against Norwich has given us a great start to the season, a winning start, but now we've got to look to Burnley to see whether we can maintain it. And the short answer is yes. I mean, we should be able to. Burnley finished the season in 17th place last year, and like us, they've only really added a centre-back, which is Nick Collins from Stoke for 12.6 mil, to replace outgoing centre-back Ben Gibson, who went to Norwich for 8 mil. And they started the season with a 2-1 home defeat to Brighton. So we are talking about one of the teams here that any self-respecting title-challenging team should be beaten. You know, along with the likes of, you know, your Norwiches, who we've already beaten, Brighton, Palace, Arsenal.
You want me to rant? Is that what you want?
Now, it was the way they lost this game which really caught my attention. I'll leave links below to the highlights of this game if you want to watch them for yourselves. But basically, Burnley actually started the game quite well. They dominated all the chances in the first half, went 1-0 up, which is what you expect of the home side in a fairly even encounter, to be fair. But in the second half, when Brighton began to apply some pressure and grew in confidence, you got the sense Burnley had taken the foot off the gas a little. And then when Brighton scored, their heads just completely went, and it was all Brighton from then on. Eventually leading to a second goal and a win for Brighton, which just seems to feel like Burnley had all bases covered for when things were going well for them, but once the other team made it, obviously they were also in the game too, everything went to shit.
Yes, that's right. You see, there was a tiny flaw in the plan.
What was that, sir?
It was bollocks.
Now, given their finish in the table last season and the fact they've barely done anything in the transfer market this summer, I'm confident we'll win the game, but with that kind of capitulation they showed against Brighton, we should be looking beyond that and thinking of improving our goal difference. I watched the overlap the other day when Roy Keane, Neville and Carra were all talking about the season ahead, and one thing Carra picked up on was that even when Liverpool won the league the other year, City still outscored us. Now, look, you know me by now, I have that down to the additional goal contributions from their midfielding Kevin De Bruyne, because he's the difference between us and them in my opinion. But that's why I've been consistent in my opinion that if we sign a midfielder in this transfer window, he has to contribute goals and assists into double figures. But until then, we do have to pay attention to our goal difference and take opportunities to grab big score lines when they do present themselves, because it might prove the difference between us and City one year. So if an opportunity comes along where we can have a big win, we have to take it.
That's your job.
But look, we should win big anyway. I mean, it's our first game back at Anfield. The atmosphere is going to be buzzing. I mean, nobody should be predicting anything other than a comfortable Liverpool win. Having said that, however, one thing about Burnley that did impress me was their set pieces taken by their number 18, Ashley Westwood. He took a couple of deadly corners in that game against Brighton, one of which was the assist for their goal. He can't half swing them in. Like I said, I'll leave a link below to the highlights if you want to watch it for yourself, but I'm telling you, his corners are something we're going to have to watch out for, so I do hope Klopp's got that covered.
He's fine.
And also, I can't deny, I'm still a little concerned by Tsimikas. His performance in the Norwich game is bound to have been noted by Burnley's analysts, and I can see them exploiting that weakness, so I think we should expect a fair bit of Burnley attacks down our left-hand side. But hopefully Van Dijk can handle that, and to be honest, that and their set-piece merchants alone, they're not going to do much more than cause us less than a couple of problems in the whole game. We should be able to manage these issues no problem and still beat them comfortably. It is what we need given how the season started and how the transfer market's been so far. City losing to Spurs was huge. I mean, they're signing a Grealish and expected purchase of Harry Kane. Seem more like statements, glamour signings, like they're flexing their financial muscle to sort of scare the rest of the league. But seeing them lose to Spurs while they're trying to pinch Harry Kane was just fucking sweet as fuck.
Perfect.
And seeing as they are more or less our biggest hurdle for the title, Klopp and the lads must have been fucking just as buzzing as we were to see them drop points. But more than that, if they don't win their next game, there'll be serious pressure on them, because you make big statements in the transfer market like that, you cannot afford for things to go wrong, because everyone will smell blood and will consider beating you like a fucking cup win. I'm fairly certain that won't happen, at least for long. I still think City are nailed on favourites to win the league. I think whether they have a rocky start tonight won't matter in the long run, as there's just simply too much quality in that squad, and if they don't get it right now, they will later, and they'll be fucking frightening. As for the rest of the league, the other standout result of the weekend was, I think, the least shocking shock that's ever shocked the British public. I mean, between their abysmal, overpaid and physically weak team populated with overrated players and the permanently triggered AFTV, I mean, it honestly feels like Arsenal Football Club just exists for no other reason than for the rest of us to pick on them. I mean, look, historically speaking, I do respect Arsenal as a football club and all, but I think we can all agree at this point, they've sunk as low as they can now. They've hit rock bottom. They've reached the depths that we fell to under Roy Hodgson, only unlike us back then, they seem to be in no rush to pull themselves back out of it. But look, as much as I find it funny and everything, and as much as I'm not exactly AFTV's biggest fan, I do want Arsenal back up at the top, because I'd much rather have them up here competing with us rather than Chelsea or City. But over these last few years, they've just embarrassed themselves as a football club, and to be honest, it's getting to the point now where it's getting kind of sad. Speaking of not wanting Chelsea up here though, them and Man United have made an equally strong start to the season as we have. Again, I know I haven't done a prediction video, but I expect the top 4 to be the same teams as last season, but without an injury crisis, I expect the top 2 to be us and City again in either order. United and Chelsea though, I still think they're not on our level yet, but their recruitment has been a big concern for me, and I expect them to close the gap on us and City a little bit. We won't be 18 points clear of them this time around. I expect them to be right in the mix with us, but just fall short at the end. So with a much more competitive top 4, we need to keep our form going as strong as we used to a couple of years ago, but again, I expect us to do just that. I think we'll beat Burnley easily. My prediction for the game is that we'll start the game with the same 11 that started against Norwich, with Alisson, Trent, Van Dijk, Matip and Tsimikas making up the back line, Keita, Milner, Oxlade-Chamberlain making up the midfield, and Jota keeping his place alongside Mane and Salah up front. Although, having said that, it wouldn't surprise me if Klopp is tempted to drop Tsimikas and play Milner at left back, especially if Hendo and Thiago are pass fit for this game.
Ah, fuck you.
And if they are, I also wouldn't be surprised if Ox is dropped too, as he didn't really have the best of games against Norwich either. Although at the time of recording, there's still no word on whether Henderson and Thiago are available, so that's why I assume we'll keep the same starting 11 against Norwich. I also wouldn't be surprised if Bobby starts, given his positive contribution to the game, but dropping Jota would seem kind of harsh on the back of a goal. But Klopp might be tempted to play a strongest side, given that it's our first game back at Anfield. Finally, as for my prediction on the score, like I said, if we score early and cause Burnley's head to drop like they did against Brighton, I expect us to run out comfortable 4-0 winners at least. I still expect us to win comfortably even if we don't score early, but like I said, with Burnley's finish last season, their lack of significant activity in the transfer market, and the fact that Brighton seemed to cause their head to drop so easily, I expect an early goal and a big win. But let me know your thoughts and predictions below, not just on the score, but the starting 11 and your predictions for the season as a whole. You know, tell me how you think we'll finish this season if you like. If you like the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm a new channel at this point, so any and all traffic is very much appreciated. If you are already subscribed, I hope you like my new and improved thumbnails. I'm honestly so fucking embarrassed about that last one against Norwich. I was tempted to replace it, but you know, I'm going to keep it up for you guys and my future self to just fucking laugh at for the absolute state of it. All I can say in my defense is I was in a mad rush to get something out there, and I didn't really check it when I finished. I just saved it and exported it. Then I nearly died of fucking cringe when I seen it when it was uploaded. But I'll be a good sport and keep it up for a laugh. Anyway, that's enough from me. I hope you enjoyed the game and your weekend. I'll see you all after the game. Take care, lads and lasses. Ta-ra.